of my interview today with Heather Nielsen from Fight the Beast. So Heather, hello, welcome.
Hi.
It's good to see you here.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, so first of all, the reason we're here, one of the reasons we're here, which should be no surprise to anybody who either follows me or Heather, is Heather originally started a platform, and I'll let you do your own introduction here in a second, Heather, so you can correct anything I get wrong. But Heather started an organization called Fight the Beast about 5 years ago, which is an organization that claims to help men and women who want to quit pornography or sexual addiction. And about 2 or 3 weeks ago, she started an OnlyFans, creating explicit content while claiming to still lead towards some sort of sexual healing. Across platforms, you've got roughly like 150,000 subscribers or so, TikTok being the main one with, what do you have, 120, 150,000 or so subscribers?
I have 120 on one account, 90 on another. Yeah.
Okay, so 200,000 plus followers across accounts.
Who knows? Yeah.
And she recently made this switch into creating explicit, spicy OnlyFans content. Heather and
I don't know
have
how spicy it is, but.
Okay. Heather and I have collaborated a little bit over the years as I kind of got into the porn recovery space a few years ago. And when I say collaborate, I mean we've kind of joined each other's lives from time to time, a handful of times, maybe 5 or 6 times. Most recently being like right before you made the switch to what the internet is saying, the dark side. They're calling you the female Darth Vader, which we'll let the people decide how true that claim is or not. So would you just give an introduction of yourself, Heather, and then we'll dive right in.
Yeah, I guess, to explain kind of why I got into the porn recovery space to begin with, a lot of people ask that. I had I'd been through 2 marriages. The first one, ex decided he was gay. Second one had struggles with porn and other marriage issues. I realized after that literally every man in my life had some sort of experience with this. It was like every guy I dated, all my friends, while I'm single, even the 76-year-old man downstairs in the apartment below me, I could hear him listening to porn through the floorboards every single night. It was like mildly traumatizing. But he was such a sweet old man. And just realizing like how pervasive of a problem this is. I ironically tell my story on literally, I think my just bio on my website still says like, I literally woke up one morning with the crazy idea to start the opposite of OnlyFans, a place where men could go to get support. And so then I did that for 5 years, wrote a best-selling book on the subject, and grew my recovery organization. So that kind of catches up to about 2 weeks ago.
Okay, what happened 2 weeks ago? And again, for those of you on TikTok, I can't go live on my computer right now, so if you want to watch this interview with Heather Nielsen, go to the link in my bio and join on YouTube. You can see her, you can hear her, and you'll have the full experience here. Okay, so what got you to this point today?
Yeah. So there have been, at first I guess I'll go through the porn recovery journey. By the way, I will say, everyone's going to have their own space. And kind of to clarify, I am completely supportive of porn recovery still. I still literally am running my porn recovery organization. I have like 4 or 5 calls with people today on porn recovery. Okay, so this is not me saying everyone jump all into adult content, not at all. I do think that there is absolutely a place, and I even tell people like if a female organization doesn't work, I refer people to other men all the time. I'm like, hey, go join a men's organization, get a men's coach if that's what you feel more comfortable with. So that being said, I feel like I've seen a lot of recovery coaches go this exact same path, including most famously the NoFap organization. Went from NoFap like 7-8 years ago to sometimes FAP to do whatever the heck you want. Also, we're here to support you if you want to go a couple weeks clean. So I was traumatized by them doing that. I was like, what a traitor. I felt like NoFap just like betrayed their values. I was like, what a conspiracy. Literally was on that train, 4 or 5 years ago when that happened. And now I kind of have come full circle myself. You see a lot I don't know about your experience, but like, I feel like you see a lot as when you do this. You hear a lot of people's secrets. You hear a lot of stuff. But what really started to change me was, first of all, I realized for myself about 6 months ago that, well, a lot of, if we were to say like, no porn, no masturbation end up going pretty hand in hand, not for everybody, but like a lot of times people want to quit both. But I found out for myself that was negatively impacting my health. Like abstinence, 6 years of celibacy was negatively impacting my health. Found that out in December. And when I discovered that, I was like, okay, maybe I need to at least reassess that side of things for people, because a lot of guys say that too and have a lot of concerns. And so I was like, okay. So then it started with, all right, we'll take that side out of the picture. If you're doing it compulsively, too much, that's probably a problem, but sometimes is okay because it does literally affect your health. Then I started doing root cause sessions with people. And when you identify a person's root cause, I think that's what affected my mind the most, because I started realizing that people's root causes are different. Not everybody, like, I don't know. I just felt like I deeply understood. First of all, I could no longer see it as an addiction. Once I started seeing people's root causes, I was like, I don't even believe this is an addiction anymore. And I don't know. What are your thoughts there? Like, I have about 100 reasons why I made this decision, and it took a very long process. It wasn't a giving up. It was a very strategic decision in my own space.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have a lot of thoughts on that, and thanks for that introduction. And again, for anybody on TikTok, I'm interviewing Heather Nielsen from Fight the Beast right now. Go to the link in my bio here on TikTok to jump over to YouTube, and you can see both of us and hear the interview. I have issues with TikTok's platform right now. Okay. Well, one, I have a question. So you said roughly 4 recovery calls today. And I'm going to show your OnlyFans here right now. And by the way, this is not explicit. Well, I guess you can.
The homepage?
Yeah. So how do I turn this on? So this is Heather's Awaken with Heather OnlyFans with a blurred out, what appears to be a nude photo.
No, it's not nude. It's in a bikini.
Okay. Got it.
I had to clarify.
It's given the impression that it's a nude photo, in my opinion. And you have down here an hour ago a post that's private, only to subscribers, that says, "Just a girl." Oh my gosh, I just got banned from TikTok. Live access removed. See, I shouldn't have even done that. All right, here we are. It says, "Just a girl flashing the forest, LOL." How do you reconcile these two things? Like you have porn recovery calls, and then you're creating what appears to be porn.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be fair. There absolutely is content on there. My thing is that my worldview completely shifted last year. So I came back to porn recovery after vacation on January, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. And the last 6 months have been figuring out, what does that process look like? My worldview has shifted to essentially, we create our game and then we play it, right? So some people want to be porn free, and I encourage those people to be porn free. Some people don't want to be porn free. Some people are okay with that. Some people are they don't have negative symptoms. The science shows that, unfortunately, and I argued this, I literally have a video on my YouTube still calling this whole thing a conspiracy, but I don't actually think it's conspiracy anymore. The science says that the negative symptoms of pornography are largely dependent on a person's beliefs about porn. So if a guy believes...
What science are you referring to?
Yeah, so how it negatively impacts a person. What
study or what author or what body of research?
Oh gosh, I'm so bad with names. I cannot unless I'm physically looking at it. I could try to pull stuff up. Let me see if I can. I can't do it while talking. But from my understanding of what I've seen, as well as some of the research that I have looked at, shows that, and anyone can chat GPT this and get the same answer. So it's nice and easy to find nowadays. But that if a person feels guilt and shame Not everyone feels guilt and shame. If they feel guilt and shame, it's going to have a greater effect on their adrenal system. It's going to have a greater effect on their self-confidence. It's going to lead to feelings of shame, mental, emotional exhaustion. Whereas if they don't believe it's wrong, it doesn't have those same effects.
Okay.
The effects are not universal, essentially. That caused me to kind of change my perspective as far as what the actual problem is. So now I don't consider the problem to be pornography. I consider the problem to be the guilt, shame, and self-betrayal, which is what I'm working to address for both my recovery clients and everyone else.
Okay. Fascinating. So you mentioned kind of changing your perspective. And again, I have this is you, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it says, I decided not to be scamming people anymore. So what do you mean by that? In the way that you were scamming people, and how are you not scamming them anymore, given that you still have your, what you said, scam porn recovery program up for purchase?
Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, porn recovery, it is what it is. I'm sure you and I teach the same principles as far as discipline, healing, guilt and shame, working through urges, working through root causes, working through, all of that. I spent 5 years researching what other people are doing, putting all of my thoughts, compiling that into a program. It's largely the same, and it does work. Don't get me wrong. Like, for someone who legitimately wants to quit, a recovery program is the right way to do it. It's going to help accelerate that. What I mean by the scam part is that, to me, the damage from what I've seen personally, the damage from gaslighting people into feeling bad about their lust, for instance, ends up fueling the problem more than a person who becomes completely at peace with those feelings, those emotions, those desires, those needs, and then they can just completely rationally approach the world. I feel pretty guilty. Yeah, there's a lot of content I need to go take down that I just haven't yet. But I don't see this as a thing that everyone needs to do, and I don't see it as a thing that is universally a problem.
Okay. I guess that leads me to another question. When you did run, or I guess you still are, your porn recovery program, and also, by the way, you said like you think that my program would work the same as yours. I would just reject that because you've never been in my program and haven't asked me how my program works. So we could talk about that, but sure. I don't want people to assume that I run a recovery program the same way as you do. But that being said, what as a non-licensed professional, right, as a coach, which I am as well, and I'll get into that a little bit later, what authors or studies or bodies of work or methodologies did you use that informed and influenced your porn recovery program?
I mean, I worked with doctors that helped review stuff. I have hundreds of studies that I link to on my website. I don't pull names off the top of my head. My brain doesn't work like that. But using that, I mean, it was all this stuff. But as you know, with a lot of porn recovery research, porn research in general, most of the studies are very poorly done. And I rejected a lot of that. And I argued the claims like, oh, it's because there's so few men that are porn free that it makes it really hard to do the study. And what I'm realizing now is some of these arguments that I was making on behalf of how the research was being done was, I don't know, probably not fair to the science.
Okay. So there's no specific authors or bodies of research or methodologies that you can cite that informed your program?
I mean, yeah, I've got a dozen books. My brain doesn't, I don't log names. I've got the book right here. It's the largest manual. It's like a 700-page book on sexual addiction, and that's the largest manual on how to overcome it. I use every single tool in that book all the time with people. That's as far as we know what works. I just personally have developed things that I think work better.
Got it. Okay. All right. So part of your shift to this new program, where you're creating explicit content, And one, are you creating pornography?
Oh, I just lost an audio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, cut out for a second. Still good?
Yeah, I got you. In your point of view, are you creating pornography?
I mean, yeah, that's technically what it is.
Okay. And I know that you've seen a lot of these comments. And by the way, Heather and I had a conversation before this, and I told her my intention here is genuine curiosity about how she got here, while being firm in what I believe is truth and evidence-based. So the arguments and the things people are saying in the comments, which on one hand I laugh at, on the other hand I'm like, well, they got a point. You're like you seem to be like somebody who has an alcohol addiction recovery program while serving drinks in the lobby.
Sure.
Right. How do you reconcile those? Well, do you think there's validity to those claims? And then how do you reconcile that? Because the way that I see it as well, that's essentially what you're doing.
Perfect. So, well, first of all, I want to say that of everyone who subscribed to my page, like less than a tenth of those people came from my current following, and the majority of them have come from somewhere else now, never knew me before this week. So I don't necessarily think I'm selling to the people that were coming to me from recovery. Not only that, but I have more people signing up for recovery than ever before. So it's a weird situation. What I will say is, using the alcohol analogy, perfect analogy in this case, saying that porn is bad is like saying all alcohol is bad, which personally I don't drink, but it's not the same for everyone. There are people that can have a glass of wine once a month and it's totally fine. It doesn't hurt them. And then there's binge drinkers who are drinking themselves to death.
Yeah, that's fair. I'd just like to interject that there are studies that do indicate any amount of alcohol is bad, particularly Dr. Amen. He writes about this in his book, that one thing we know about alcohol is all alcohol is bad in any amount. Now, then there's what's the concept.
I don't drink for that reason. Yeah. I completely agree with that. But according to some people, and some people also say that they use it for health. So whatever. I personally, I don't drink. I don't like it. For the same reason, I've still to this day never watched porn, and I have zero intention of ever watching porn, and I will not watch it. Like, I don't care.
Hold on. Have you watched any of the stuff you've created?
That doesn't count. That's me.
It doesn't count.
That's the same as looking in the mirror.
Okay.
I don't watch adult content. I mean, I've scrolled now through 2 girls' just bios because I like them as people and I like the way that they have created content. But other than those 2 girls' feeds, I've never watched a sex scene in a movie. That's how I am opposed to it. Okay. So coming back to how do I overcome this, weird hypocrisy thing, I guess. Again, not everyone's alcoholic. Not everyone's alcoholic. And alcohol itself isn't the problem. The problem is the mental state that someone gets into where they betray themselves. A lot of people will quit porn, and now a good recovery program is going to help you. I'm sure you do this. It's going to help you quit all of the addictive behaviors, but a lot of times, if someone's not in a good program, they'll quit porn, they'll go to alcohol. They'll quit alcohol, they'll go to weed. They'll quit weed, they'll go to video games. And they just are rotating through these. What I'm now focusing more than ever on is actually fixing the root cause below the root cause below the root cause, the real core of why a person is betraying themselves over and over and over again. And doing that in a bit of a radical way that I think works.
Okay. Yeah, one of the quotes I love, the opposite of addiction is not sobriety, it's connection with other people. And I actually fully agree, and this is something that I preach in my content in my program. Porn is not the problem. Quitting porn is not the solution. It's building a life where you don't even want to turn to those addictive substances or behaviors.
Exactly.
So here's a question, though. How is you creating porn replacing an addictive behavior and getting them out of it? And let me specifically, and I analyzed your 30-minute video you did a couple weeks ago about your claims that you're rewiring addiction through exposure to what you are calling healthier pornographic content.
Right.
And my question would be, do you have any research that supports using pornographic material as a therapeutic intervention for pornography addiction. And if the evidence doesn't exist, aren't you essentially experimenting on vulnerable people?
I'm not experimenting on vulnerable people. I'm experimenting on, I'm offering something, and yeah, maybe there is some experimentation in the process. Have I already seen it work? Yes, I have. First of all. Second of all, there's a different audience here. So I would never recommend to somebody who is 90% clean, trying to build up a little more self-discipline, they're trying to reach 90 days, they've already cleared 30 days. I would never in a million years recommend them to follow my page. Like, I'm not telling anyone to go to that page, literally. Like, you are probably better off doing some other part of porn recovery. What I am saying is people who are deeply addicted to maybe a really dark fetish or a domination fetish or something really not even human anymore, rewiring your brain back to a form of connection and something that is very natural and not faked is the first step to being able to have the self-respect to then pursue a real connection when they're coming from a fetish that they feel like they can never even open up about. So being in a place where people can have a container where they can open up about the darkness, they can heal that darkness and then move forward is a legitimate path for some people and some addictions.
Okay, so what you're suggesting is what you're offering through the pornography that you're creating is a way for porn addicted people to create connection so that they can then go have connection in real life?
Yeah, it is a step in that process.
Got it. Okay.
Again, not for everybody, but there is a lot of healing going on in that page, and I've received massive thank you letters for the work that I've done. I've already had a lot of people on that page say, wow, you've actually inspired me to quit. So it's weird, but it works.
Got it. Okay. All right. So back to the first part of that question, though. Do you have any research that suggests using porn as a treatment methodology for helping people stop using porn?
I'm not sure. I haven't actually looked it up. I know exposure therapy works in a lot of different addiction programs, so it is a thing. I mean, we use contained exposure in rehab facilities all the time. So I think the research makes sense. I haven't personally looked it up because I've seen it work from experience.
Got it. Okay, so you haven't looked at the research, you haven't looked it up. You're just kind of trying it.
I've seen it work.
Okay. Okay. On your OnlyFans, which again I've got here right now.
We don't need to expose that.
What do you mean
by that? Go for it. No, nothing.
Okay. So there's this one, which again, if you go to links.fightthebeast, which this is how you can find Heather's content on her socials, which I would not recommend going to for anybody interested in quitting porn. Okay. There's a few options. One is men who are ready to quit, women who are ready to quit, teen and parents, partner, spouse, I guess it's some sort of programs. And then you have a not interested in recovery button with spicy icons by it. And then a trigger warning that it goes to your OnlyFans page that does contain adult content, which you've acknowledged it is pornography. This recovery method may not be for anybody. You're kind of given the warning here. And then an option to go to a clean traditional recovery, which is your program you've had for a few years, again, where you claim to be creating the opposite of OnlyFans. Or you can go to explore conscious sexuality, which then goes to an OnlyFans page. And this picture was different yesterday. There was one that was a little bit more provocative yesterday. This is the one of you on the beach now. And then in the link description here, you then have a link to a VIP page where it costs money to see the content. In here,
that by the way is a daily audio series. That's actually where I do more recovery work. I send an audio message every day to all my subscribers about masculinity, about conscious sexuality, about making living a more abundant, healthy life. So that's not like premium nude content. That's actually just more masculinity focused stuff and a little bit more health stuff.
Got it. Okay. One of the things that kind of struck me here on this page is what you're offering mindful JOIs. And for those of you who don't know what a JOI is, that's a type of pornography called jack off instructions, where a woman talks through to a man how to jack off in a very generally provocative, erotic way. I'm curious.
Some of them are different than others. Yeah.
Sure. How does this lead somebody towards recovery if a woman who they're paying on the internet is giving them JOIs on your own, like you're doing on your OnlyFans?
Yeah. So I found another girl. So I launched this page, and I got several messages from people across social media saying, hey, what you're doing is just like this other chick that I follow. She's amazing. She's helped me so much. And so I went and I paid for this girl's page, and it's wildly expensive. And she's been teaching porn addiction recovery and sexuality, how to get a partner, how to satisfy your partner type sexual coaching for, I don't know, a couple decades, I think. I really liked how she does it, and the way that she does it is it's mostly focused on, rather than a I'm satisfying you type POV pornographic thing, it's more focused on affirmations. So helping men who experience deep shame. She's fully clothed in hers, and I think for most of mine, I probably will be as well. I like that model. She's more focused on helping a man become at peace with his body, use his sexuality for faster development in other areas of his life, using it to heal masculinity rather than detract from it, and using it to boost confidence. And I've heard great reviews from her stuff working in that way.
Got it. Okay. What would be like a success in terms of developing masculinity in somebody?
Depends on where they're at, right? So if a man is in a place where he is full of deep hate, he's, self-harming behaviors, whether it's through, physical content, substance, whatever. In that case, it's him being at a place of self-acceptance, peace with himself, appreciating his body, being able to remove any kind of, the shame is really bad for a lot of men based on, their physical features or whatever, being able to embrace that, being at peace. The next stage up from that, I would say, once you're kind of at peace physically, it's being able to make conscious decisions about your sexuality. So never acting on sexuality impulsively, but instead doing it from a place of, I consciously choose this, and I'm very careful when I choose it, and I choose it in a way that makes me healthier, not hurt or addicted. And then the next step from there is, being able to focus on that bigger mission purpose in life, which I am not opposed to the idea for some people might involve some of this stuff. I'm no longer telling people what their mission purpose and how to be a man should be, but rather just accepting that the ultimate, my name was Fight the Beast, right? Which I'll probably change in the future, but if the ultimate beast is self-betrayal, then self-acceptance and peace and personal power becomes the ultimate goal.
Okay. And your belief is a way to empower men is to do things like give them jack-off instructions, and that is empowering to them?
So it's not, the instructions there, it's combining, well, we already know sexuality, first of all, wires the brain faster than any other behavior or action that we can do. And so men who have had, they've been in deep addictions, domination, findom, any kind of humiliation stuff, then yes, sexually rewiring their brain is faster than, heals the brain faster, because sexuality can rewire the brain faster than anything else. It can rewire the brain faster for those deeper addictions to get them more back to center to where they can progress from there.
Yeah, so I have such a hard time wrapping my head around that, because again, the overwhelming body of evidence suggests that creating a parasocial sexual relationship with a stranger on the internet does the exact opposite of what you're claiming. which again, that's why I asked that question. Like, what research, if any, do you have that supports any of this, aside from just kind of trying it out?
It depends on what the relationship is. Most of the girls in this industry are either very disconnected, vain, and only looking for money. And it's very much a hustle culture. It's very much just give me your money and then I'm going to go brag about how many, blue strips I've got on TikTok. Or it's very domination focused, like a lot of these girls in porn are known for, and literally people pay them to insult them. Like, you stupid sim, blah, 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 blah. Like, that is the culture of this stuff. And I think that by helping show people that not everyone is that way, that people can be loving, they can be kind, that they are valuable, is very important. And I'm able to give emotional support to some of these men who are so deeply single, and then to help them feel the confidence to then go pursue things in their daily life.
Okay. You mentioned something about like body acceptance a few minutes ago, and you got a video, I'm putting it up here again. You put it on all your platforms talking about dick shaming. You have an eggplant emoji on here, and you go on in this video to describe how a service you're offering is essentially penis reviews, where people can submit their penis to you, and then you're reviewing it for them.
Right.
I'm wondering again, how is that a recovery tool?
It's wild that it even exists, and I'll be completely honest with you. I mean, I'm not the first one who's doing this. Obviously, this is a very common thing on these platforms. It's a very, very common thing in the porn world. So it's not like I invented something new. I think it's insane that anyone would do that. I can't imagine paying somebody. In that regard, I spoke to one guy and was able to really build him up. He had been through some really traumatic relationships where he had said, I love you to girls. They had intimacy, and the girl was just like, I want nothing to do with you, made fun of him for his body, and then left the relationship. And when people have had really deep trauma like that, it does help for them to be able to hear somebody say, hey, like, you don't have to be ashamed. That person was just a freaking idiot, and it's not you, and here's why it's not you, and to be able to reaffirm that love is not about what you look like. Love is, and it's in both sides, I think the men, like, to be more explicit here, like, the men on the small side, the men on the big side, they're getting so much shame, and, like, people are weird about this, and men feel like their body is, like, getting so sexualized, they don't know how to handle that. So being able to come back and say, hey, like, it's not about what you look like. So yeah, are my reviews like all positive and all affirming? Yes, but that I think there's a space for people being able to feel seen and also feel validated.
Okay, so let's just say that's true, that validation can help. Why would that require somebody sending a picture of their penis to you in order to offer validation to them?
You'd have to ask that man. Like, why does he feel the need? I don't know. Why do women feel the need to post their pictures on Instagram to get likes? It's stupid. Well, I think it's stupid.
Different. That's totally different, because you're offering a service where you're saying, hey, send me a picture of your penis.
For people who want it. It's not for everybody. It's only for the men who need it.
Yeah, well, what I make of that, right, as a man, is what I imagine somebody in that situation might be looking for is they just want a woman to look at their penis. And this is an opportunity for them to do so. And like you said, you're going to affirm them no matter what. And again, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't see how that leads to. For the guys who just want someone to look, it doesn't exactly sound like they want recovery, does it? I'm not here to force people into recovery. For the dude who doesn't want recovery, I don't care what you do. You send a picture if you want. I don't care. For the guys who need that affirmation, need that connection, and need help feeling like they don't need to shame themselves because some idiot posted on TikTok that unless you're this many inches, you're worthless. For those people, it is counseling, effectively. It's counseling in a, hey, I don't have a problem seeing your body. Your body's fine. Like, you can go to the gym and get a health, you can get a fitness instructor, you can go post pictures. Well, there's not a lot of safe places where you can post private parts and have somebody be affirming.
Okay. How do you think it would go over if a man who claims to empower women were to offer a service, and maybe to women who are struggling with their body and their body image? How do you think it would be perceived if a man were to say, well, you can pay me money and send me pictures of your breasts or your genitals, and I'll review them for you?
See, women don't have to send money. They can just do it for free. Men will do it for free. That's what sucks. That's what's not fair. Now, can I realistically offer this service to 100,000 men for free?
I'm asking it to you in the context of recovery, right? I get it. Men
right, yeah, I think that is healing, because I got out of a toxic relationship where someone shamed me for being too small. Then I get into a new relationship and somebody's like, no, your body's perfect. Yeah, that healed. So it's providing it as a service. Hey, I'm not in a relationship with you. I'll never meet you in person, but I'm willing to heal the damage that you've come with.
Got it. Okay. All right. So there's a bunch of stuff on TikTok, or I'm sorry, I was going to say Twitter, X. Interesting things, because one of your posts kind of went viral, got a couple million views. And
I don't think it was mine, was it?
Or sorry, somebody else posting about
somebody else, yeah.
A bunch of views, yeah. One of them I thought was really interesting, and again, this kind of goes into being a coach. My opinion is that you're giving coaching a bad name in this regard, which is a valid criticism, and that's why licensing bodies do exist. But I'm curious if you saw this post from Purposeful Redemption and what you think of it, and I'll read it because I know you can't see my screen, but this tweet said, if a licensed sex addiction therapist gave you their OnlyFans link, they would likely lose their license, face malpractice claims, and possibly be criminally charged under certain state laws. So while Heather Nielsen may not be licensed, this actually adds another layer of risk for her, because now she is not protected by any regulatory body and may be in violation of laws against unlicensed practice plus fraudulent conduct, which equals potential criminal exposure. And then they kind of break it down, essentially making this, and this is not a lawyer, I'm not trying to make this seem like legal advice, though I do think it's interesting because as a coach, I kind of always have these thoughts and considerations in my mind. But they're making the argument that you could actually be exposed to more risk legally because you're unlicensed doing this. So one, I'm curious, have you seen this post?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So they're saying if you're not licensed, the unlicensed practice of mental health services, most states have laws that prohibit anyone from providing counseling services for things like addiction, trauma, psychological distress.
I'm good legally, so we're not concerned there. Okay. I've got my bases covered.
Okay. Without a professional license. If she's giving advice or promoting herself as a recovery expert or running paid coaching programs, she could be illegally practicing psychology. And then there's the fraudulent business practices / deceptive trade argument they're making, that if somebody creates a program explicitly marketed for porn addiction, took money under that premise, and then introduced sexually explicit content as a paid offering, that's deceptive business conduct. And many states treat this as criminal fraud when a vulnerable population is targeted and there's clear financial exploitation. The intent can be shown as premeditated, and the intent can be shown as premeditated or strategic. So I hear you saying you say you're covered. I'm just curious what you kind of make of this and potential negative legal ramifications that you might face.
I'm not concerned at all. First of all, I run my business as accountability support. Accountability coaching is not, I don't claim to be a psychologist. I claim to be, quite frankly, a friend, a sex worker. I've said that from the beginning. I'm a sex worker. I'm just on one side of the sex work industry. Lots of women have done, there are thousands of women doing the sex work porn recovery link. I just happen to be in the spotlight right now, and I happen to have a really, a bigger reach than them. But there are plenty of other women doing this. It falls in the category of legal sex work activities, and I'm not concerned. The people who are in my recovery program are still in my recovery program. Anyone who's asked for a refund got a refund. So that it's not, nobody's been harmed in the making of any of this. Okay. And actually, most of the men in my recovery program felt more inspired to keep up their streaks after I did this because it helped reflect the mirror back at them. Hey, this is on you. This is your life choice. If you want it, go all the way. But I don't like calling men a vulnerable population. 98% of men watch this content regularly, and to call them vulnerable is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing, is to help men realize men are supposed to be leaders. They're not like vulnerable simps that can just easily get hurt by one person posting pictures on the internet. That's not how that works.
Got it. Okay. Couple more questions here, and you're claiming to be taking shame out of sexuality. Do you think it's at all possible that what you're really doing is normalizing the behaviors that once destroyed the men that you're claiming to help?
First of all, different populations of men. We're talking about two different groups of people. We're not talking about the same people. The men who want recovery are still in recovery or have already graduated my recovery program. I am not telling anyone in my recovery program to go watch this stuff. It is not, we're separating, it is completely separate. There is a men's porn recovery program, and then there is this content over here. They are separate.
Yeah, so I got that. Why do you promote it then using your recovery program marketing assets?
I'm not promoting anything. I've never told someone, go click on my link.
Well, right here, it says not interested in recovery. Click
right,
on.
For the people who are not interested in recovery.
Got it. Okay.
That is a personal choice. I don't make that personal choice for anybody.
Okay, so again, it's like the analogy of, an AA program saying, hey, if you actually don't want to be sober, here's a beer, at the door.
Right. And there are men who will say, no, I do want to be sober, and they will go on to be sober. The rest of the guys are just there feeding their shame.
I got it, but can you honestly?
Well, you think about the SA programs that you've heard of? Every time I hear about it, I don't allow this in my community, but when I hear about SA programs, most of them people just say, yeah, I went for a couple months, any kind of 12-step or porn recovery, sex addiction recovery program, and people are like, yeah, everyone just sits around and tells you about their relapse this week. That's why I banned talking about relapses in my group. I was like, we're not going to do this. You're not going to go around triggering people like that. But the interesting thing is, the men who just, men will go to these SA meetings for years, and they're literally just there getting off on telling people that they relapsed. That becomes an addiction in and of itself. The men who want to quit either already don't watch it. The men who don't want to watch porn don't watch porn. The men who kind of want to quit are in limbo, and they're just relapsing and binging. And then there's this huge population, 60% of men or more, who don't see any problem with it and are okay with it. That's 60% of men. I'm not going to gaslight them and act like they have a major issue. It's only the men in the middle who can't decide which side they want to be on.
So essentially, and by the way, the essay.
Share. I want to hear your opinions. Yeah, share them.
Well, I think the essay methodology, I would agree that there is a lot to be desired there, and the notion.
I don't use it. That's why I don't think it works.
Yeah, the notion of people who go there and just are relapsing every week. Yes, that is very prevalent. I don't know that the solution though is to be like, well, here's some porn, right? So
it's the solution for a different group of people. It's not the solution. It's not a one-size-all-fits. It's not a solution for the people who, I've got a call in an hour with somebody who is completely anti-porn. He is doing great. He's a couple weeks clean. We're going to have another call. He has no interest in ever logging onto my OnlyFans. It's not even a question. He doesn't care about that. He wants recovery.
Yeah. So, do you see there's an integrity misalignment there though? Right?
Because I'm not, where's the integrity misalignment? With who? Who's?
Well, because to truly heal and recover, there's got to be a purpose for it. Why are we doing this? Why are we healing and recovering? What is our stand?
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't get how you can on one hand say,
my stand.
I want to offer something that will help somebody stop this known addictive behavior that's proven by research, using a methodology that is providing the exact thing that is contributing to the addictive behavior with no scientific evidence to support that.
Yeah.
Differently put, if you were to have some body of research or even anybody who has studied this to say, hey, giving people porn is a way to help people stop watching porn, I would love to have that conversation, right? But again, it just seems like a big experiment here.
Giving people porn is not necessarily a way to help them stop watching porn. Obviously, that sounds stupid. But giving people porn can help them with other problems.
Well, okay.
Just depends on what the problem is that we're trying to address.
And that gets to the root of a lot of the issue. Porn is not the problem. It's a symptom of another problem, mm-hmm. right? Now, giving people porn isn't going to heal the symptom. You have to identify the symptom and then typically through some sort of psychological work, root that out, right? Mm-hmm. But sending your penis to a woman on the internet to evaluate, I don't know how that can, or doing JOIs or looking at nude photos of you flashing the forest or whatever, like I've demonstrated here on your content. I don't get how that...
What's the problem with nudity? Explain that to me.
I didn't say there was a problem with nudity.
Okay, so what's the problem with OnlyFans?
What's the problem with OnlyFans? I think it goes back to how you view people, how you view relationships, and what healthy sexuality would be. So I would ask you, what do you think, if your goal in some way is to restore people to healthy sexuality, I would just make the argument, encouraging people to pay for a fake...
And don't encourage. I literally have on most of my posts, I'm like, you probably should buy this. It's silly.
Which is a deceptive tactic to get them to buy it. If you didn't encourage it, you wouldn't offer it. No,
I offer it because I am a photographer. I create art. I love art, and I love the photography side of that. So that's personally why I do it, because I think that the human body is beautiful, and I like creating art. That being said...
That's not art, what you're creating on OnlyFans.
Well,
do you know the definition? Well, there's a difference between art and pornography. As a porn recovery coach, have you studied that? Like how to break down that difference?
It is what it is. I mean, art can be anything. Art can be a botanical garden that's grown in a beautiful way. Art is whatever's beautiful, and we do have a natural desire for beauty. Now, what I will say, there are a lot of men nowadays who family is not right for them. The men who are married and want a happy sexual relationship, I will always tell them, you should quit porn and dive all in on your marriage. You should give it everything you have. You should help develop it into a passionate, beautiful, and well-connected relationship. That's the ideal for that person. The problem I have, and part of why I said the recovery industry is a scam, I'm not saying that you are specifically scamming anybody, but the concept of it is basically projecting our own ideas onto other people and saying that that's what they should do. So telling all men that they should quit porn is basically projecting my values on them.
The recovery industry is a scam. You said you decided not to be scamming people.
Yeah. Well, I have said recovery industry is a scam in a couple of posts, but yeah.
Got it.
Because...
I want to address that point then again real quick. If you believe it's a scam, why are you participating in it?
Right, because it's a scam to tell people what they should do. I can support somebody.
The first rule of coaching is don't tell people what to do. Like
right. So I'm no longer promoting that as this is what you should be doing in your life.
Did you used to do that? You used to tell people what to do?
Well, yeah. Even here, if you're going to say porn is bad and you should recover, that is telling people what to do.
Who said that?
I mean,
haven't said that here.
You said you have though.
No, I haven't.
Is porn? Should people quit porn?
Should people quit porn? I would say if people want to live a more fulfilling life, have healthier relationships, and have more connection with people, then quitting porn would likely lead them towards that outcome.
I like the word likely because it's not always, because there's plenty of people that
Well, I would say always, but the world isn't as black and white as I wish it was.
Yeah.
But again, whether they should or shouldn't, that's not up to me. It depends on what they want, right?
Right. So that's exactly why I have that link in my bio. I don't want recovery because there are just people who don't want it.
So then what?
There are people who don't want relationships.
Is it anymore. A money-making thing? Like, what's the why there?
Yeah, so like I said, there's 100 things. For me, largely it is being able to hold up a mirror to people and be able to say, you choose what you want. This is a choose your own ending story. And I really, really like that. I like being able to tell people, choose what you want here. You can get one of two things from me. You can book a recovery call, or you can go buy some stupid crap. I don't care. It's giving up control. It's also accepting people. It's also so much happier. Oh my gosh. Like when I'm in that world, my life is 1,000 times happier than in the recovery world. In the recovery world, people are focused on problems. People are focused on relapse. It doesn't matter how good of a coach I wanted to be. It doesn't matter how supportive or like, let's focus on purpose. Let's focus on life. Let's focus on acceptance. Let's focus on all these amazing things that you can do. All these amazing psychological principles. It's inherently a dark world because people are fighting things. They're fighting human nature. They're fighting porn. They're sad, depressed. Whereas on the other side of things, there's just a lot more peace. There's a lot more contentment. There's a lot more positivity. So I do appreciate that as well.
In the porn side of what you're doing, that's what you're saying? Okay. I know do we have about 5 minutes, or can we go a little over?
Yeah. We'll give it 10.
Okay.
I think.
So.
Actually, well. Yeah, keep going. Let me see.
Okay, yeah, the notion that like pornography does make pain go away. That's for sure, right? I've been there. That's something we know about pornography. It medicates pain, and totally somebody who's in that, just like an alcoholic would say after having a few drinks, "Gosh, I feel much better." But what we know about addiction, and part of the thing with addiction is it's going back to a behavior that ultimately has negative consequences. Simply put. So again, it just seems like there's a disconnect in how you're reconciling this in your brain. And I guess particularly as evidenced by you're on one hand claiming, yes, recovery is a scam. So if you don't want to recover, go do my other program here. No. You're making money on both sides of it. So is that the ultimate driver for you? Is it a financial motive?
I was making fine money doing recovery coaching. I can't emotionally do... I don't know how much longer I will emotionally be able to do the recovery side, but I've just seen things that have changed my perspective so much that right now I no longer have a desire to fight pornography in any way. Rather and if I do go back into coaching, it is very much just focused on living your absolute best life rather than allowing anybody to even breathe into this idea of porn addiction. I mean, the coaching call I was on right before this, I said, we're not going to call this an addiction, period. I'm done with that. And by the end of the call, he felt a lot better because I was like, you have to go live your best life. Let's identify your root causes, live your best life. Stop giving energy. They say you give what you focus on, like where focus goes, energy flows. And when you're focusing on, and these are principles I've been teaching for a long time, I got fed up with them. I think that when men see it as an addiction, it works like a placebo effect to then enable toxic behaviors. When we take that away and we focus on the choice of conscious sexuality, those placebo effect behaviors go away. Okay. And I am seeing people recover faster that route. So I'm gonna stick with it.
Yeah. So I think back to and I don't disagree with some of that in the sense that, like in my program, something I tell people a lot is we actually don't talk about porn a whole lot in the program because porn's not the problem. It's always about building a different life, grieving, looking back at childhood trauma, looking at shame, why you have that, and then rebuilding a life free of that while healing through it. And that's one of my criticisms of the no-fap community is the goal is not to stop fapping. It's like you stop masturbating for 60 days. It's like, who cares? Did you actually change anything? I say that to women a lot. Do you actually just want a man that doesn't watch porn and masturbate, or do you want a man who does do all of these other things, like treating you better? So again, and I'll ask you, I've asked it to you like 10 different ways, so I'll ask it one last time. How does creating pornography and giving it to people, how does it lead towards that outcome of restored sexuality or this wholeness or different life?
So as a recovery coach, as somebody that either for all the people that are just meeting me for the first time or everyone who's already followed me, for me to be able to say, I'm not ashamed, I have no problem with nudity, I'm completely conscious, self-aware, and careful with my own sexuality. Come with me on this journey of learning sexual discipline, of learning.
Was that a pun? Was that a pun?
What?
Come with me?
Oh, come. Stop. I already have to be really careful with my language in the porn world. Now I have to be really careful in this world. Yeah. No, do that and find that inner peace.
Okay. Last question, and then I want to hear anything you want to say outside of what we talked about here. But what do you think are the most valid criticisms, or we'll say the best and worst criticisms of what you're doing?
I think all the criticisms are just they're just air. They're just absolutely useless. And the reason why I say that is because I live in a place, and now people could be like, oh, this girl's full of crap. I don't care. I feel like I have mental and emotional superpowers because I walk around happy all the time. I don't use any substances. I don't need TV. I don't have any addictions. I don't need porn. I'm happy and content with myself and my life. I want to give that superpower to people. And what I think is interesting, as far as the people who are criticizing, they're just putting out negative energy that's just eating up what I'm dropping. They are probably the same people that get riled up when they watch the evening news. They're the same people that get riled up. Like the act of...
This is great commentary, but I'm curious, like precisely what criticism do you think is the most valid, like specifically?
No, I don't think any of them are because they're all fighting. The goal of my new movement is to not be in conflict with anything, not in conflict with yourself, not in conflict with others. And anyone who's in conflict is already missing the mark.
You don't think any criticism of what you're doing has any validity to it?
No. I don't see a problem with nudity. I don't see a problem with people being free, doing what they please. The problem is focusing on other people and being angry. I don't have time for that.
Yeah, well, that attitude or orientation, like I could give a ton of criticism towards me and what I do in many aspects of my life that I think is valid. And it's an opportunity for feedback and to look at and to refine, right? But the notion of, I don't think nothing has validity, I think that's dangerous.
I don't make space in my mind for other people, and I don't think anyone should. I don't see the point of that. Like live in peace with other people.
It doesn't mean that there's not peace. It's taking feedback and looking at it. It doesn't mean that.
Hey, sorry, give me just 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, there's a dog.
Yeah, there's somebody in my driveway. They've been there for like 5 minutes, and I just had to send my kids to go find out what they want. Go down the driveway, please. Never mind. They left. Oh. Okay, sorry.
Do your kids know what you do? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, to some degree, we've already talked about it. There was a car there. Close the door. Do you want to come back? I'm still on. No, it's fine. Yeah, and actually, my kids. Again, they were the inspiration for why I started Fight the Beast, and partially they're the inspiration of why I started this.
Got it. So your kids are the inspiration for why you started a porn recovery organization, and they're the inspiration for why you started creating pornography on the internet.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Any closing thoughts? And by the way, I appreciate you having this conversation. I know that probably none of what I've offered to you today is new, given what I've seen on the internet.
Sure.
I'm curious just what closing thoughts you have about this.
Man, I feel like we've covered quite a lot. I've put out a lot on my YouTube channel as well, so there's a lot there that just kind of explains things in a little bit more depth. I'm really excited. And that's what I'll say kind of in closing. I'm really excited for this journey. I'm seeing a lot of positivity. I know people are seeing hate comments on my posts, but I promise you the thank you letters that I'm getting are 1,000 times more. People saying thank you, this validated what I was already feeling. I feel so at peace reading some of the content. That video really helped me to dial things down, to realize, like, I don't know, I'm seeing so much positivity. I'm excited to continue developing new content focused on more mindful sexuality instead of just, be single, be a monk or be married. And yeah, I'm enjoying it and I look forward to it, and it feels really good to me.
Okay. Are you open to my closing thoughts?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go for it. Speak your truth.
Okay. Well, one, I would just urge you and petition to you. I'm actually asking you to stop claiming to consider getting out of the porn recovery space. I think it's a disservice to anybody who is struggling with it and wants to stop. I think it's disingenuous. I think it's deceptive. And I think it gives coaches a bad name in general. The fact that you can't cite any research or even any author or person who you pull data from on how you run your programs is alarming to me. I'll be honest, I've always, since I found your content, your non-pornographic content, by the way, a couple years ago, there's always kind of a red flag about the nature in which you present it. And I've even made offline comments. No, I've actually said this on my TikTok before, is that it seems as though what you're providing is an OnlyFans type experience, even before you went nude. And this kind of just confirmed what my suspicion was. I've never been supportive of your content. Like, notice I've never recommended anybody to your page or recommended they follow you. And this kind of supports why. Because again, I think it just goes back to that, what I think is a fundamental piece of recovery is how do you view people? And if we fall into lust and objectification and not viewing people as fully dignified people, it's all a house of cards. And in your case, in my opinion, the house of cards came down. And so that's a viewpoint that I hold dearly, that people and sexuality shouldn't be commoditized. Women's bodies are much more valuable than something to be bought and sold on the internet. And I think you're preying on people and contributing to what is exactly wrong with the pornography industry. And it's just a whole misalignment in my point of view. So that's my thoughts.
Fair enough.
Heather, thank you for having this conversation. If you're open to it in the future, I'd love to do this again as you continue on this journey. So, yeah, appreciate it.
Awesome. All right, you have a good day.
All right.